crocin tablet. In the crocin tablet, paracetamol is the API, and the crocin is the brand name of that of that tablet, where actual tablet may be of the size to of the weight 2 grams, but in that only 500 milligrams is the paracetamol typically. So that is paracetamol is the one that reduces your fever and things like that, body pains, fevers, and things like that. So in the API industry, we use for after every stage, we typically separate out the solids, liquids, and improve the purity of the substance before it goes to the next stage. That's where a lot of filtration operations are seen in the API and pesticide industry also. Okay. So again, this depends on the cake characteristics like volume of the solids and the height of the solids, like for the pressure drop considerations, and whether the solids are crystalline nature or they are in amorphous or gel-like nature. Based on that, the difficulty of separation of filtration is experienced, and then comes the vacuum and pressure availability within the factory. That will be one of the reasons or considerations for using which kind of filtration we should use. Okay. And then the filter media. Hello? Yeah. Did I hear anyone? Okay. Filter media is the filter cloth. Okay. It's sometimes it may not be cloth. It could be a fine mesh of iron or something like that. It could be any sieve kind of material. So those are again, they depend on the hydrophilic, hydrophobic type, and then size of the particulates. Those are the other considerations for the filtration system design or setup. Okay. I just okay. Liquid extraction again. I'll send these slides to you in case you may want to review them again, or you can put it on your resell website where, or repository where people can access it. So that is, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That would be good.
Yeah. So liquid extraction again, it is again continuous mode. It's more like a tower where you are using it is like a column, big column, vertical column. You are droplet sizes. There comes the interface tensions, and then the time needed for the droplets to move up and down, which again depends on the density difference between the two liquids. Okay. So, and these are the considerations for the height, whereas the diameter, flow rate of the solvents is one of the main consideration for that. Okay. So similarly, batch extraction, you need the volume of the extractor, amount of solute and solvent, impeller characteristics, speeds, time required for the separations and things like that. These are a few considerations for the liquid extraction. Okay. Now coming to one of the more common topic as to pump design. When I have asked pump design, I think almost one out of, not even one, maybe 1 out of 100 would give me the correct definition of what I need in the pump design. Okay. That's why I thought I'll take a small example, a case study. Okay, a 1500 liters of toluene is to be pumped in 2-bar pressurized reactor on the 4th floor, about 28 meters above the ground, from a big solvent tank in the solvent yard, which is at a distance of 100 meters away from the production block, and that needs to be filled in 30 minutes. Assume there are 10 vents in the pipeline, suggest a suitable pump for the requirement. Okay, this is how we get the problems in a typical industry. Okay. You know, so how do we go about it? First is find the total pressure drop that is needed, then find the line size that is needed for the flows, and finally calculate the pump energy. And then you tell, okay, you, and also you, then you specify, okay, you should buy a 5 HP motor pump of this diameter line size, of its mouth should be of this size, and its outlet pressure should have so much of this one. Should be the pressure drop between the suction and this one pressure rise rather would be, should be about 5 bars or whatever you specify that. And then MOC of the pump, you can, depending uh, on the service fluid, like here in this case toluene, in some other case it could be some other solvents uh, which may be corroding the materials and things like that. So you should, finally you should say that, okay, it should be so and so glass lined or Teflon lined pump for this particular usage. So further, taking it further, this is how we go about it, like finding the drop. Pressure drop is, first measure the pressure drop between the horizontal distance and the bends. We have based on the this one, based on, in our fluid mechanics, if we look into it, we get how do we measure the pressure drop in the pipeline based on our flow rate and the fluid and fluid characteristics. We can measure, estimate the pressure drop, and bends will have a equivalent distance. Okay, in terms of distance based on the pressure drop. So we can estimate the total amount of pressure loss in the horizontal section of the pipeline, and in the vertical section it is MGH. We use MGH as the total pressure that is giving. So based on that you can get the pressure drop based on the total height to which it needs to be pumped. In this case I have told that it is 28 meters above the ground. Okay, take 28 meters, and then you know the height, you know the mass density and rho gh. Okay, and then you know the gravitational constant, you can measure the pressure that is needed, and the outlet pressure is also there, like in the, you are adding um, putting it into a pressurized reactor. You are just not delivering it at atmospheric pressure, so you have to add that extra 2 bar, which is if we look at in the previous one, a pressurized reactor. Okay, it is a 2 bar pressurized reactor, so we have to add that extra 2 bar and then get the final pressure that is, that needs to be delivered at the pump. Okay, so that is how we define, okay, we need pressure drop across the this one pressure rise. The pump delivery pressure should be, let's say, 5 bar. Yeah, if we get from all this calculation, we get around 4.5 or something, add 10% more and then make it as 5 bar, and then say, okay, we need a pressure delivery of 5 bar, minimum 5 bar to be for using for this particular pump. And then based the, how much should be the line size. Line size is depending on the flow rates. Okay, calculate now the, you have to calculate the flow rate based on the time needed to the transfer. I said I need the whole 1500 liters to be transferred in about 30 minutes time. Okay, so in 30 minutes if it has to go, then you decide 1500, that is 1500 liters in 30 minutes or 3000 liters per hour. Okay, so now based on that you measure what should be the flow rate. If you take standard pipe sizes, like let's say 1 inch diameter, 50 diameter, or 75 diameter, 100 diameter, 25 based on that you see what which one which is that pipe which will take. And again you need to have this velocity criteria. Okay, see, for liquids and gases there is a velocity criteria when the fluids flow into the pipe. This is not actually, I don't know many of us whether we are taught this, but this is one of the important design parameter in designing the pipeline size, especially for the gases. typically it is between 10 to 15 meters per second. You can have gas velocities up to 10 to 15 meters per second in the line, gas line. Uh, this is how we define the size of the pipeline. Okay, if we use a very small diameter, and if we have to pump a lot of material, then it becomes, we have to, the velocity will have to increase to accommodate it within that particular small pipe. So if we have a larger pipe size, then the more flow rate will be higher, so velocity will be less. Area is higher, so velocity will be lesser. Q is equal to V into A, right? So we, if area increases, V decreases. So that's how we try to adjust the velocity, which will be between, for liquids, for pumps it is liquids, so it should be maximum between 1 and 5 meters per second. Typically 2 to 3 meters is what is being used at the delivery, on the delivery side of the pump. And on the suction side, it is up. Sometimes it is suction side will be higher, and the diameter on the delivery side will be, can be smaller. Okay, it can be smaller because of the flow rate considerations that we have.
So
And
can
from
you
this
repeat
we can, yeah,
last three sentences? Missed your.
okay. See, the pipeline size is determined by the gas flow rate. Okay, so gas, for the gases or liquids, liquid flow rate also. For liquids, the velocity should be between 1 and 5 meters per second. Okay, in this case, let's talk about liquids only. Forget about the gas, because pumps, for pumps, you should never have gas going into the pump. Okay, let me that is one of the important criteria for the pump design. If you have very high pressure drops, then pump will form, there is something called cavitation will form within the pump, and then pump will become inefficient. Okay, so when we are deciding on the size of the line size, or the diameter of the pipeline, line is here, pipeline. Okay, when we are deciding on the diameter of the pipeline, then we have to calculate Q is equal to, we know the flow rate, right? Flow rate is 3000 liters per hour. 1500 liters in 30 minutes is translates to 3000 meters per hour, or about 1 liter, less than 1 liter per second. If you convert it back into the liters per second, it will be less than 1 liter per second. 3600 liters per hour is 1 liter per second. It will slightly lesser than that. Okay, so when we have that, then we, based on the Q is equal to velocity into area. Q is the flow rate. Based on that, if we increase the area, then velocity will decrease, because Q is constant. Right? So we adjust, we bring the velocity value between 1 and 5 meters by increasing the line size, increasing or decreasing the line size, and zeroing in on the correct line. Sometimes line sizes come like 27 or 28 millimeters, in which case we don't have a pipeline of that sizes. We have either 25 millimeters, or 40 or 50 millimeters, something like that. So we, for getting 27 millimeters, if we have chosen 3 meters per second as our flow rate, 3 or is as our velocity, then we have a play. We can still use 25 centimeters. We will get slightly increased flow rate of to let's say 3.5, which is still within our design limits. These are all called design limits for the pipeline. Okay, if it is too less, for example, if the velocity, if the pipeline size if we use 100 pipeline size, then the velocity of that fluid, if it comes out to be less than 1 meters per second, then we reduce the size of the pipe to make the velocity higher. Okay, so this is slightly adjustment. We just have to do 2-3 iterative calculations and then come to a line size. Okay. Is your doubt cleared?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So that is how we go about it, and then finally we calculate the pump energy. Okay, based on the pressure drops and flow rates, and then physical characteristics of the liquid density. We have that equation. Total energy is equal to our number. No, this density, and then there is one equation. I don't really recollect the finer aspect, but based on the velocity and other things, you can get the final energy of the pump, and that is how you come to what should be the kilowatt hour of the pump that is needed. And then you give the pump dimension size, and then if it is a corrosive liquid and things like that, you give approximate, look into the materials handbook and give the right materials, and then say at least we need a pump which has the internal coating of Teflon. Let's say Teflon is the one which can stand. Then we tell that, okay, use Teflon for this particular Teflon coated pump is what we needed. So they will supply, the internals will be coated with Teflon for the pump. Okay. So that is how we design the pump. So this is what I thought I'll just tell you briefly for you to concentrate for the technical interviews. Okay, if you are going for a process engineering interview, then these are some of the things typically which will be asked. Okay, and then you can give a broad idea of how to design each one of them, and then I think that should satisfy a interviewer. Unless people want to get the equations also, but not many people expect you to remember the equations, because equations are always there. If you know how to do the work, you can always Google it, or you can refer to a standard book and then do the work. And that is all what is expected from a typical process engineer or a chemical engineer from BTech or MTech level. Up to MTech level, this is what is needed and should be sufficient, more than sufficient for you to get through. Okay. So any questions, any other things?
No, sir. I have no doubts.
Okay.
Sir, we would love to have more sessions like this.
Okay, you have to come up with the topics. Then I can prepare, give you whatever I possible from my side. Okay, so that this is something which I find it difficult whenever I try to interview some of you, and from other colleges also I interview, and that's where I feel you people know most of the things, but you have not been able to connect between them, or give some simple things which are expected. So this is, I have yeah, this is what is needed. In fact, I have faced IASC interview and BARC interview, IOCL interview, which were supposed to be the most toughest interviews in India for chemical engineers. Okay, so that is all they needed was something like more common sense kind of approach to the problems. Okay, so that is what you just have to have that thing. Okay, anything else?
So thank you very much for doing this presentation. So students, any questions for Dr. Ramakant Garu?
No, sir. Sir made it very clear.
That's good. And so why don't Surya? Can you give any thoughts about what you thought about this presentation?
Yes, sir. So first of all, Ramakant Garu, we are very grateful to you. And I remember that about 2 years ago, when you came to our ESL and told us about the importance of thermodynamics, especially in process simulation, that was when I started to really focus on thermodynamics. Thank you very much. And sir, today, all the topics which you have covered and all the points which you have discussed on, what I have noticed that the GATE examination, all the questions were based exactly on the points which you have mentioned.
Wow,
So,
okay.
so I think this is going to help us in a very big way. Thank you, sir.
By the way, between you and me, I couldn't qualify GATE at that time. But well, I could still make it into IAC.
Sir.
Okay, that's fine.
Nikhil, do you have any thoughts?
Sir,
You
Nikhil
can,
is it here, sir?
Maybe here.
Any other fourth year students who are on the call?
Fourth year students or third year? If you,
Yeah, third year.
yeah.
I wanted to go with fourth years first and then come to third years. So, okay. So third years, any, Triveni, do you want to say a few words about what you thought?
Yes, sir. Like Surya Anna said, the topics, whatever sir said, like about CRE, I found the questions in the GATE, the same questions in the GATE, like on the same concept.
Okay, good.
Okay.
That's why I could connect very faster.
Okay.
Nice. Lidvija, do you want to say anything?
It's a relief from my. Yeah, actually, it's really like it's helpful for like way to focus. And each of the they should focus and what they are asking in the interview, and it's always useful. Like whenever Ramakant had talked about something, it's always will be productive, and this is where I always connect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, because what happens is
And
it's
the same thing, like as Suryana and Triveni said, we found questions in GATE like, oh, idigar kada ala.
very good. Thank you, Lidvija. Yeah, what happens is when
Thank
you're
you.
Shivani wants something?
oh, Shivani. Go ahead, Shivani.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir. Is it important to learn simulations, sir?
Sorry?
Like, is it necessary to learn simulation? Pro 2.
Okay.
Hello?
Shivani, frankly, if you are going into, if you want to make yourself into a design kind of, if you want to go towards the design, then I would recommend you to go for knowing Pro 2 or any such simulation softwares. If you know one software a little thoroughly, all the others you will follow. It's not very difficult. Okay. So that if you are planning to go towards the design kind of places, for example, you want to go into the engineering companies, Jacobs or this Toyo Engineering or any company where there is design part, then it is always it is advantageous to know about Pro 2 or any such, at least one tool where you will be using it in some form or the other. Okay, so that's what I could say.
Okay, sir. Thank
In
you, sir.
general-
Like, we know.
Go ahead, Shivani. Go ahead.
We noted all the topics you have said and will work on it, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Shivani. Ramakant Garu, in general,
Yeah.
would you suggest that every student learn simulation? Because anywhere you go, at least I feel like simulation is there in every manufacturing industry. Actually, not even manufacturing, even in computer science. My son is doing some work on using computer imaging, and he has to do a lot of simulations.
Yeah. That's what it depends. If they are going to a company like Dr. Reddy's or pharmaceutical companies, most
Right.
90% of the companies here in Hyderabad or anywhere in India, especially, simulation is hardly used. Okay, especially this Pro 2 Aspen, these simulations cannot be used in the pharma industry as of now. Okay. So when they are, in fact, when I joined Dr. Reddy's, they wanted me to use the Aspen Plus simulator for the work, but absolutely it was a disaster because uh, Aspen Plus or even Pro 2 or any such simulator needs lot of information about the molecules. Okay, so it needs CP of the material, it needs latent heat of vaporization, it needs uh, so that kind of information is just not available. And liquid CP of the liquid, CP of the solid, CP of in the vapor state, all those things, which is most common in the simulations. So since we cannot get those values, it keeps crying, saying that no, you haven't given me this value, I cannot simulate. Okay, so we try to generate each for generation of one full set of values will take at least 6 to 8 months for one particular molecule. Okay, and that information is outdated because your molecule doesn't last that long in the typically these industries, unless you are doing, it's a new chemical entity, NCE they call it, where you are discovered a new drug and then that is your patent, which you will be holding it for next 20 years. It doesn't make sense for using this kind of simulations. Okay, for batch industry there is another simulator or rather tool called DynoChem, which I feel will be immensely helpful. DYNOCHEM, DynoChem, from Scale Up Industries. Okay, Scale Up Systems. That no, sorry, it's called scaleupsystems.com, scaleup.com. Okay, so they actually it was developed by AstraZeneca, but these people have taken over it and then they made it more user friendly for people in for non-chemical engineers to work on that. But as a chemical engineer, I would say it is a very useful tool for batch industries. Okay, so that for batch processing industry, that is one of the most invaluable tool, if I would say, if I can say that. And it is also very useful in the typically labs. Okay, I would say if we have that tool in the lab, you can have at least you can keep generating papers. You will have a paper machine. Okay, which will be very useful for people to go abroad and things like work in the reaction engineering field. Okay, so that's one of the best tool that I have seen in the batch processing industry for this. Otherwise, the simulation, if you are planning to go to any of these pharma or any such industry, I don't see the necessity for people learning Pro 2 or Aspen because we hardly get to use it.
But in general, go ahead, Meenakshi.
No, but as is particularly Dr. Ramakant was mentioning about engineering industry. So I'm from NFC, Dr. Ramakant. Okay. So yeah, typical chemical engineering processes happen there. You name it and it is happening there in a very large scale. So okay. I have found in my last so many years, 35 years of working, that we are using processes that have been developed long ago based on hit and trial method or we have copied from Canadians or whatever it is. And then slowly we have scaled up again based on all the experience and gut feeling and, that kind of thing has gone in. So now when I try to, when my juniors came in, new fresh engineers came in, I used to ask them whether you can now simulate what is happening. And if you want to make a change in your process, is it possible to have a tool by which without disturbing the process, can you do this? Because we are very short of raw material. We can't do experiments at large scale. So we need this computation and simulation methods. But I found that very much lacking in the students who come in. So I have been very strongly advocating for students to take that up in their college life, because there they can get more help from their professors and other mentors. No, so I think it is a very important tool to improve, optimize your processes. One thing, scale up, and also improve the efficiency in the use of consumables, reduce the waste, energy efficiency, cost reduction. Everywhere, this is going to help a lot. Also, most importantly, problem solving. See, suddenly a process is going on very smoothly for months together. Suddenly you find that the results are not the same. It has deviated, and we have very stringent specifications. And we don't know what happened. It happened 15 days ago, 30 days ago, but I don't know. I'm not able to troubleshoot. So I wish I could have tweaked some of the parameters and studied it on my simulation tool, which was readily available. So I found this very much lacking, and I think the students of today need to do this for engineering industries.
Yes, I agree with you, ma'am. Only thing is, the simulator that you are talking, mostly I assume that it is in the continuous simulations, that continuous mode that your processes are running.
Both are there. There are batch, semi-batch, continuous and continuous. We have all three types of processes. So they're all closed systems, no? Because nuclear materials, we can't touch, we can't do anything, we can't allow waste, we can't build up effluents, all sorts of constraints. So I found it very much required, and not only NFC, in many such strategically working industries. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I cannot agree with you any lesser than this. It is. You are right. In simulation certainly provides as a tool to experiment and troubleshoot and then see the things. What I was specifically talking was with respect to Proto and Aspen, which are more towards the use of these petroleum industries. Okay, so when you compare that tools for typically pharma industry, it will be a big failure there.
Yeah, true. It has to be typically for each industry. I think we should have a separate tool, or at least modify what is existing to suit that particular. I think children can work on that. Students can work on that.
Yeah, there is, as an integration, there is one tool called GPROMS. Okay, GPROMS, GPROMS. We are from Process Systems Enterprise UK, London, UK. Okay. So that is an amalgamation of both the process and this continuous mode as well as batch mode, where I had an opportunity to work on for few months for few clients. We were okay. That uses the equations based solving. Okay, where you define the entire system in terms of equations, and then it is more you do a modeling of the processes based on typically with the equations. Okay, you use our transport phenomena like Bird-Stewart Lightfoot is one of the most important book if you want to use the modeling based simulations. First you have to model the system, and once you model the system, then solving in GPROMS is jiffy. Like it really takes care of your solving problems.
I think modeling is a very big tool. You are totally true. We have 30 years of data. We are unable to model.
Yeah, I can help you in that if you would like to. We had as a IAC student, we are trained for both doing experiments as well as do the model, and for the experiments, write down the equations right from the first principles, and then solve them, and estimate the parameters, corroborate the things, so that we can that has trained, at least during our times, we were all familiar with how to write the equations, and then they wouldn't scare us. Okay. At the same time, we were good experimentalists also, so we had best of both the worlds. So that is where, like, if you we need to have an understanding of the system and how to represent them mathematically, then we will be able to solve most of the problems. Okay.
Right.
And that typically we cannot expect from BTech students. At least you need to have an MTech, and a little better is PhDs who have modeling as their background. Otherwise, even PhDs, I have seen those who don't have the modeling as part of their work will find it very difficult to get adjusted to that.
But don't you think that they should learn the concepts of modeling and all that in
Yes,
their?
yes. Actually, we are taught in the BTech. In fact, I remember Dr. Sridharan used to teach us the transport phenomena, and then those system of equations from chapter 3. We were given those equations, and then we were to strike down whatever irrelevant terms and put the relevant terms and things like that. That's how I could gain an entry into IASC for my master's and PhD. Okay, we are almost like, okay. So that's it is necessary, but I don't know how many of the students would really, if they are planning to go for PhD, as yesterday I have seen many of them want to do their PhDs and things like that. Yes, they should concentrate on such topics which are more involved in chemical engineering and more mathematical in nature. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Shravan, I see that we are
No.
almost 1.5 hours.
Yeah, I just want to, let me, first of all, one more question for you, Meena Garu. What kind of, do you have any simulation tools which you're using in NFC, or you're hoping?
We are looking
Yeah.
for. So what I would, I wanted to do this actually, study the existing simulation tools and look at the problems, find what is matching to what very faintly at least, and then tweak it, modify it, and then, get to that point of using it properly.
Right.
Meena Garu,
So-
I can help you in that. Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Ramakant, unfortunately, I'm not there now. I retired 5 months back, but I still
Okay.
have all my colleagues who are there,
Okay.
and I will talk to them because the processes are all fixed now and going on.
Right.
I think they should work to improve it.
Yes.
I would do it
Right.
if I was there, but yeah, I will talk to them.
So first of all, this is exactly. I did a project called on an inclined fluidized bed.
Okay.
This is something I did in 1991. Okay.
Okay.
So because we had coal, the place where in US, it is one of the largest producers of coal. But what happens is there is a 30% moisture rate there. So by the time they take the coal and deliver it to the place, the moisture is gone. So their 100 tons becomes 70 tons. So they're transporting 30 tons of water for no reason. So they said, okay, let's get rid of the water right at the site, and then take the dry coal, okay, as dry as possible. So one of the techniques they wanted to use was the inclined fluidized bed reactor.
Okay.
So I did some work on it. I did modeling. I came up with some equations and everything.
Shravan, is it because they wanted to do the heating while conveying?
No,
Yeah.
they wanted to remove the water. Once the coal is taken out, they wanted to remove the water, but that's a good idea. I never even thought about it, but that's something we could have probably figured it out while
Because of
doing.
that, because coal is conveyed through the conveyor belts. So
Right.
and it's an inclined bed. So I thought it exactly matches what you're talking. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think about it. You know, now when you're telling me, I was like, yeah, that is something I could have proposed that idea at that time.
doesn't matter. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we used carbon dioxide to heated carbon dioxide to remove that coal. But we did the modeling and modeling. Came up with some equations. Then I came up with this. I did software on it. I wrote a program in Pascal, and I was trying to write it in C also at that time. So why I'm saying all that is because if students can learn, the main reason for any simulation or modeling or all that is you can optimize the processes, you can troubleshoot the processes, and that is the reason because everything, if you can automate most of the things in life, if you break it down to smaller parts, you can automate everything, and that's what computers are doing over and over again.
Yeah, and also to add to that, if you are thinking in the simulation, then you will understand the process very clearly. Unless you understand it clearly, you will not be able to solve the things. So that is one major advantage of thinking in terms of modeling and simulation.
Exactly. So Shivani and others, what we want you to get is think about learning any simulation software. Even learning Pro2 is better than not learning any simulation software. You can learn simulation, MATLAB, Pro2, and have that mindset of simulation and modeling. So create, when you're reading a subject, always try to see whether you can model something, whether you can simulate something, start thinking that way. So that mindset will help you out. Does that make sense, Dr. Ramakant garu?
Yeah, only thing is I would want you to understand, for example, if you are simulating a heat exchanger, just think about the equations that went behind.
Right.
Okay. That is one of the important things because I see many people do simulations, but they don't know what is basics or what is going on in the behind.
Correct.
That is a very dangerous situation, I would say.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
You can't simply jump into a simulation and modeling work without knowing the basics. I mean, it's so very important.
Know some basics. Yes, this is what goes back into it. We don't have to worry about how they solve and things like that. But at least if we know what equations are going in or what kind of equations are going in and what is being solved, then we will have a good understanding or how the simulator works and how we can get the best out of it.
Yes. Absolutely. So, students, anyone want to say anything before we end the call? It's already 1.5 hours, so I want to, end the call. Anyone? Any thoughts? Let me ask second years and first years to say something, even though I know you probably didn't understand a thing what was being talked here, but you have patiently listened, which, is a good thing. So any first years and second years who want to say a few words?
Sir, I would like to add 3 points.
Pick up. Yeah, Rohit is here.
Yes, sir. Like I realized the importance of CRE, HT, and MT previously, but I would like to establish relation between them, how we connect those subjects into each another. So by this, I can relate those things and work on more efficiently. Whenever we relate things to applications, interest would be increasing. So that's make more efficient.
Absolutely. Well said, Rohit. I think your presentation, when you send me the slides, I will pass them on to the students, and I'll also put them on the website. We are going to create a web page which will sort of help students to figure out what concepts they have to learn. So we're going to put together a web page very soon, and we'll put your slides on that web page.
Some things on the attitude and the communication skills also, I think we should have sections which form the part of the interview preparation as such.
Absolutely. So first year students, do you want to say anything?
Thank you so much for giving the clarity on simulation, sir. I had the same doubt and Shivani Akka asked it. So thank you so much.
Okay. By the way, I was Pro 2 developer also for 4 years. Internals of the Pro 2 I know, so I can relate very easily. Okay.
So another Pro 2 support guy, support person. If you need any questions on Pro 2, we have Dr. Ramakant Garu.
Not only Pro 2, any other, even HiSys, Aspen, any G proms, you can ask me, no problem.
Fantastic, fantastic. Actually, one of these days, Ramakant Garu, we need to maybe we can create a problem,
okay,
and actually solve it. Maybe Meena Garu can, help us with that. We can get data, and
Yes.
then we can create a problem, and then we can put the first years, second years, third years, and fourth years all together into one team, and so this way they can all learn from each other. So let us actually work on that. You and I will talk one day soon and try to see whether we can coordinate with Meena Garu and get data and put together something.
I may need little time, Shravan. I know everything is in my head, but now I have to depend on somebody to get me things. And
No.
March is very tough time for NFC. It's target month.
No
So-
problem.
Absolutely, we can wait. We can wait.
We'll wait, not an issue.
Yeah. Any other first year students who want to say their thoughts?
Thank you so much, sir. It was so nice. And the way you explained everything calmly, pleasantly, we understood little bit, but we noted down points.
That's fine.
That's it. So thank you so much.
Really nice.
Thank you, Ramakant Garu. As usual, this has been a fantastic, presentation, and always you have been such a big help for all the students. Thank you very much for this.
I that is one of my goals of life. Okay, to increase the standard of the chemical engineering. That's where I would like to strive. Okay, right.
Thank you. Hafsa, do you want to say something?
Yes, sir. I'm really thankful for your thoughtful presentation, sir. Thank you. I've really noted down points and everything. I'll go through it again.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah. You all do a great job. I see you presenting and comparing and things like that. I many a times I really wish I was like you in our first year, second years. Okay, I was totally like, I just didn't open my mouth during that time. Okay, but of course I overcame it, and that's how now I am able to speak to all of you. No, not a problem. Okay, right. Nice to meet you.
Bye, everyone.
Yes.